I may look a little bit red in about, I don't know, maybe about 2 minutes from now. Reason being, we're in the middle of like a crazy heat wave right now in England, to like just madness heat. It's like about 100 degrees here, actual 100 degrees, not just like exaggerating, which for England is hot. And you know, you're talking to a Brit. Hey, Christy. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Lisa. You know, you're talking to a Brit when we're like, I can't believe how hot it is. And these are some of the stupid things we say. We say, I can't believe how dark it is when it's nighttime. It's so stupid. I can't believe how cold it is in winter. I can't believe how hot it is, but I really cannot believe how hot it is right now. I mean, you know, 36 degrees outside, which is, it's cooled down to 35 now, which is like almost 100 degrees. Woo! I'm warm. But it's good. I love summer. Summer is my wind down time. Actually, this summer I've not been winding down. This summer I'm actually in the middle of creating a new course, which has all been good fun. But it's funny because it's Mercury in retrograde as well this morning. Not this morning, right now. And so this morning I thought I'm gonna do some extra backups. It's really funny because I found an old like diary entry from back in 2012, and it was around how I could not decide what I wanted to do with my life. And it was just this whole idea that, you know, most of us, we're just like trying to find our way in business, trying to find like our little space and the thing we're good at. And I bet for many of you who now know me for this crazy thing called launching, would never have imagined that 2012, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was building websites on the side. I got a creative director role, and I just did not know what I wanted to do. And I think that is the part of the actual joy of being in business, that sometimes you don't have to have everything figured out. And you certainly don't have to have all your launches figured out, and trying on new things and trying on shoes. And this is one of the things actually from my early launches that I really started to understand about myself, was that the minute I removed the pressure about the launch and just really bought into the process and into learning, I let go of this kind of, I must generate this or I must generate that. That mindset was absolutely transformational for me. Now, yeah, of course, we all need to make money. And that is the tough bit, that when we need to make that revenue in our business, sometimes we can be so much chasing it, chase the revenue, chase the revenue, chase the revenue. We forget about the process of learning. Now, I apologize if the fan's really loud, but it's really hot in here. And I was really reflecting on it today, A, because it was too hot to work, and B, because that diary reminder, 2012, in fact, it was the 31st December 2011, I not long met my husband, and we just saved the money for our house deposit off the back of my side hustle. And I was just, how crazy, and just how much my mindset has changed around that, and finding this thing that I love. And yeah, the wonderful world of launches. So folks, great to have you here. I'm going to dive into some of your cues before I literally melt away. I'm just going to say that it's glow. It's glow. Hey, Catherine, Maria, Joanna as well. Great to have you all here, gang. So good. Guys, who am I going to see in just 3 short weeks now? Is it 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks? I'm so excited for Tribe Live. Here's something cool. I'm bringing my daughter. So my daughter is about to start a membership. She'll probably tell me off for telling you this. This whole business idea she's got is riding on her exam results that she gets the day before Tribe Live. So she doesn't actually know what kind of business she's launching until she gets to Tribe Live. But yeah, she's just bought her ticket. Lisa, I'm so excited to see you. You're going to be so good. And Maria, it's going to be incredible. So yes, she is either going to go down the path of creating a membership around helping people her age have amazing exam success without the stress, or she's going to help people with entrepreneurship for her age group. But it all rides on her exam results. She can't really say, yeah, my process works, if she's failed all her exams. She won't. She'll have done amazing. But she's going to be there. I cannot wait. Sarah, I cannot wait to see you. It's going to be so incredible. And if there's one thing I know about Stu, he is always upping his game. So can you imagine if you were at Tribe Live last year, or maybe you were even there the year before, I wasn't, how incredible it's going to be this year. So excited. Cannot wait. Going to be so good. It's hot in Ireland, 24 degrees. That's pretty hot for Ireland. Shanna, I can't wait for you all to meet her. I can't wait for her to see our world, the wonderful world of memberships. Can you imagine being 16, being immersed in that world? Wow, amazing. Oh, Maria can't go. She's got a 9-year-old with her that weekend next year. Tribe Kids Camp during Tribe Live. Yes, absolutely. I'm not sure I would take a 9-year-old either. Although Shanna, weren't you with your baby last year? Lots of people with babies. So babies are great. Babies sleep. Talking of new babies, we have a new puppy. Oh, if you've been on my Instagram, you've seen it. So cute. Right, guys, I'm going to dive into the cues. Who's launching right now? Who is launching? Who's maybe finished a launch? How did it go? Who's got a launch coming up in September? September's a great month to launch. Let me know. Okay, so the cues from our amazing, gorgeous, wonderful connectors. Can't wait to see you all. It's going to be so good. Tessa says, with respect to Facebook ads during a launch, what sort of ads, reach, engagement, or conversion are you doing during the workshop and who you targeting? So I'm always trying to get people into my launch throughout a launch. So even if I've just started doing, say, my first workshop or my first content piece, I'm still working on getting people in, because here's the thing. Sometimes you don't reach enough people that you can create, say, a custom audience to do more ads to until later on. But here's the thing I've noticed about Facebook ads is the dynamic audience. So when you upload an audience into your launch of people who have maybe already signed up, the audience doesn't update straight away. So what I've been having to do recently is to upload my list again to get those people into a list that's ready to turn into a lookalike audience. Because what happens is when you upload a list into Facebook, it uses that automatically. However, if you're using pixel data, it doesn't necessarily update that pixel in time. So although, yes, you can definitely create a lookalike audience of people based off pixel activity, my approach is to upload my list, and I'll maybe do that 2 or 3 times throughout my launch, because Facebook doesn't update those lists quickly enough. So definitely do that. Always trying to get new people in based off my most accurate list of people. I'm trying to get people to re-engage with content. This is a piece where people completely forget. Like, our job with our launches is to get people moving through, creating more engagement, content consumption. So I'm getting them to go back through. Sometimes it's about getting the people who've signed up to go and download a workbook or to join the Facebook group. And so some people are like, why do I want to spend money on that? I only want to spend money on getting leads. Well, I don't want to. I want to actually create more engagement. The more you can get people to consume your content throughout the launch, the better. And here's the thing. If you're using, say, maybe a video and saying, I've got a piece of paper, people like, I've got an Amazon envelope. Guys, here's the workbook for the workshop 1, workshop 2. Go and download this now. That kind of ad is going to cost you pence, because you're only showing it to the people who are going through your launch. So anytime you can create an ad that creates extra engagement, that helps people go back through and consume content, that's going to help your end launch result, okay? So that is number 2. Number 3 is, in fact, that's all I really do. Trying to get new people in, based off my most accurate data and getting people to consume content. So ordinarily, it won't be a reach ad. It would be a traffic, because I'm trying to get people back to the page. I'm getting people who've watched video 1 to go back and watch video 2, people who've watched video 2 to go back and watch video 3. Sometimes if I'm doing like a Monday to Friday launch, I'll do a catch-up weekend. So I'm getting people to go back through to that. The last thing you want people to have to do is to re-sign up for something. So send them direct to your page where your videos reside. So that's my favorite strategy. Is all about content consumption and making sure that people go back through all that content, my lovely. Okay, Deanne Welsh, how are you doing, lovely? Launching September the 23rd, and current list building, weekly Facebook Live, Facebook ads, funnel to free group. Any ideas to list build and keep my launch simple? My first official launch, you have 13 founder members. Congratulations on launching. So I'm really glad that you're thinking about list building now, because lots of people don't think about list building until like 2 or 3 weeks before their launch. And they're like, what do I do? So for me, little and often is super important. So the first thing I would ask is, what other freebies have you got that exist? So are you sending traffic from your website to your free group? Have you got an Instagram? Are you pimping out your freebie absolutely everywhere? Because Facebook groups can sometimes be quite a big ask of people. Like, when you think about it, time is just as important a currency as money. And so if you can get people onto your list in other ways, with freebies, with checklists, whatever it is, I don't know your niche, my darling, So it's hard for me to make the recommendation. But the group isn't the only option. Of course, we always want to get people into the group. But if there's ways that you can list build outside of that, then absolutely do that. And I would just pimp myself everywhere. So are there any platforms that you're focusing on? I would definitely get my lead magnet everywhere I can. Maybe this is also the time to do a couple of tests of your lead magnet and then decide how are you best getting people into your launch. And here's the thing. If you're using Facebook ads and a funnel to the free group, that might not be the most cost-effective way of bringing in high-quality leads into your launch anyway. So I would just do a little test of that throughout your launch. Maybe do 50% onto your lead magnet, 50% onto your group, and just do a sanity check to make sure those people are the right people and see how much it's costing you. Because if the thing is, if you're generating leads for your launch, maybe like 50 cents for a PDF and like 75 cents for your Facebook group, and you feel like they're both really high quality lists and the people who you definitely want in your launch, then it's far more effective for you to start putting more ads into the thing that's a lot cheaper. So you have to consider that. What else? So keeping your launch simple, one freebie, but I wouldn't just focus on the group. I would definitely add in that extra layer into that. So your launch is the 23rd of September, which gives you so much time to start getting people onto your list. And so one of my favorite things, especially if you're in the early stages of business and you've got time, is to focus on the strategies that other people don't focus on. So my favorite thing right now is Instagram direct messages. As a platform, it's amazing. Now, this is a strategy that's a little bit more difficult if, say, you are working in a B2C market where people's profiles are closed, but you can still create content and you can still create conversation the same way. My favorite strategy is to go and find coaches who I know are doing amazing things on Instagram, building a profile and building relationships with those, because those are the kind of people that I want to work with on my programs. And so I have every week called the Launch Power Hour. And it's a week that I set aside and I'm doing things like reaching out to influencers, building relationships with potential partners, checking in with my favorite clients, all those people who I know that I need to maintain relationships with. And I call it my Power Hour because that's what it's really about. It's the things that many people write off because it's not scalable. But actually, when you're starting out in business, even like I'm not at the startup stage anymore, I'm scaling my business. But those special things that you do to stay connected with people, to build relationships, are powerful. So I did a masterclass yesterday into Jen Allwood's community and taught some stuff about launches. And just through speaking within her audience, I had hundreds of people connect with me on Facebook, on email, on my Instagram, all as a result of going into her community and teaching. So when we're talking about building relationships, if you have a dedicated time each week when you're focused on that, you can get so much more done with that 1 hour focused on relationship building than you ever can by putting that into time building a Facebook ad. So I highly recommend that approach. Yes, you're not going to see the immediate results of that, but you're launching until September. So that 1 hour a week, I mean, how many weeks is that? That's 9 weeks, maybe even more than that. Yeah. Maybe 10 weeks. Between now and then, you can be talking to influencers, people who could be partners, people with bigger audiences than you, people who may never buy from you, but who will become your biggest super fans. And so I want you to spend time building those relationships as well as focusing on building your list. Let me just reopen this video on Facebook because sometimes I can't see comments. Lisa, how do you choose people to network and build your relationship with? Always with people who are either serving my market in different ways. So of course I'm not talking to people who are launching, but I did a summit last week where there was all different kinds of people who were serving the same kind of market, people who were course creators, Instagram people, Facebook ads, and I was like the launch person. So always looking for like those suppliers who serve the same market. But then for me also, it's like markets that I can go and serve in their audience. So for me, it's all about people who are my peers. Also, like maybe people who I'd love to partner with one day, maybe like those superstars. And I'm not going to give you my superstar list, but I do have some people on my list. I'm like, I would love to do something with those one day. And so I'm doing things like I'm commenting on their social media. I'm sharing their stuff. I'm reaching out to them, sending emails, really, really small things to nurture that relationship over a really long time. And I'm very intentional around that because that's how you get those scale. I mean, I had maybe, gosh, it must have been maybe 200 people yesterday either join my list or connect with me on Instagram, all as a result of 1 hour class into someone else's community. And so the power of audience building and the power of building relationships is amazing. So I choose them based off serving the same kind of people. Don't tend to partner up with people who are teaching launches. It's a bit of a small industry, I guess. But there's no reason why you can't partner up with other people who are maybe serving different markets. If they're kind of serving the same people, you just really got to think about who serves the same audience as you and how can you serve them. And to me, it's all about making friends, Lisa. That's all it's about. This is ridiculous. Okay, actually, that brings me very nicely on to Jessica's question. If you had 1 hour a day in which you could function and focus, what would you do with that hour? Relationship building all the way. If there was one thing that I wish I'd started doing sooner, it'd be building relationships. I'm a bit of an introvert. I think definitely for the early part of my business, I was like, why would they want to talk to me? It's just me. And I guess a lot of that is around like self-worth. Like, why am I good enough? Why would they talk to me? And I guess over time, I was like, just get over it. And here's the thing I've been talking about quite a bit recently, actually, with my audience, is that you don't suddenly wake up and there's like, pretend this is a golden envelope. It's an Amazon envelope. And you go downstairs and on your doorstep, there is this golden envelope. You open it up. Oh, Laura, you've been chosen to be a leader in the launch space. Like, that does not happen. Oh, it's a great fan. Oh, heavenly. Guys, I have an ice block under my feet. I'm not even joking. It is that warm. So you don't suddenly wake up and you've been invited to be a leader. And so that's the thing that I learned, is that if you want that spot, if you want to be that person who's the most referable person in your niche, that when people say that one thing you're great at, Japanese speaking, Jessica Brown, Jessica Brown, Jessica Brown. And you don't get that unless you're building those relationships and you're making sure that you are the first name that people think of when they think of that thing. So that, for me, relationships is how I would spend your time. And it may bring up some fears. It may bring up some, I'm no good at networking. It may bring up, I'm not good enough. It may bring up all kinds of things. But that is your ego. It is the oldest part of your brain that is basically trying to stop you from getting killed. That's what the oldest part of our brain is designed to do, to keep us safe. And unfortunately, that part of your brain doesn't distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger that's coming to eat you and reaching out to an influencer or doing something that's a bit outside your comfort zone. But what I do know to be true is the more you stake your claim as, this is what I'm good at, this is why I'm great at what I do, and you actually being proactive around building those relationships, the easier it gets. And I'm not saying that it was easy for me either. There was all those fears of, oh, what if they say no? What if there's rejection? Or what if they just think I'm a complete idiot? What if they ignore me? Ego, just trying to keep you safe. So if I could go back, Jessica, and do more of what I'm doing now, and my weekly focus, I may even start doing 2 hours a week. I would go back and I would do that. And it's amazing what kind of doors start to open to you when you start to place that as a higher priority than maybe scheduling Facebook posts or writing that email or doing Facebook ads. That for me is what Stu would call a big rock. It absolutely is. It's a big rock, and it's something that many people don't want to do. And I get why. Totally been there. But if I only had 1 hour a day, that's what I would do. And obviously, you're not going to see the results of that immediately. And I think that's always the hardest thing when we're talking about where do we place our efforts. Sometimes the things that can have the biggest impact, we don't see immediately. And so when we don't get instant feedback or an instant yes, we're like, what's the point? I can go and put a post out on Facebook and I'll get a couple of likes, but is that really helping you get to where you want to be? For me, it absolutely wasn't. And I just got to this point. It must have been around a year ago. I was like, I'm playing small. I am playing small. And here's the truth of it as well, Jess, is that there'll be someone out there with half your heart, half your soul, and half your skills and talent, but who's got double your bravery and who's willing to go out and build those relationships. And they will be the ones who get those opportunities. And it's a shame. And I could see that. In my industry, that I wasn't getting the kind of opportunities I wanted and other people were. And I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm great at what I do. Why isn't this happening for me? And it was because I was not going out there and being proactive and getting those opportunities. So my lovely, if I had 1 hour, that's what I would do. Lisa, you should teach a mini course on networking and building relationships. You take that course, maybe one for future. But the thing I would say about networking is I actually hate that word. I don't like the word networking. I love making friends. And to me, that's what it's all about. When I am sending direct messages to people on Instagram, when I am connecting with people at events, when I'm reaching out to those influencers and sharing their stuff. And that to me is all about making friends, because some of those relationships will never become anything more than amazing friendships, but some of them will blossom into the most amazing business relationships as well. So yeah, networking, I don't like the word. It brings, when I say that word, I'm like, ooh, icky. But making friends, we can all do that, no matter how introverted we say we are, because introverts are great listeners. And we have to get over ourselves. And I definitely had to get over myself in a big way when I started moving into that one. So Jess, 1 hour, power hour. Oh my gosh, if you could do that every day, whew, amazing. That's exactly where I'd focus, because the thing is, it does open up doors. You'll suddenly start getting podcast interviews, summit requests, interview requests. And once you start getting one, the rest start to happen. So that's where I place my efforts, darling. Rena is doing her 5th launch. Wow. Since joining Tribe and closed her membership. Amazing. Gains have been nice, but still incremental. Last launch brought in about 70 new members. So I topped out at 275, which is wonderful, which is amazing. But of course, people come and go. Yes, they do. So you're now down to 220 before this launch. Not a big deal, but I have visions of bigger numbers. I get it. So you usually do a challenge that leads into open cart. It leads into open cart emails plus Facebook Lives. The Facebook Lives have kind of been all over the place for me. All over the place. So my question is, if I have the free 5-day challenge and a 4-day open cart that follows a blueprint from the hub, email 1, announcement and testimonials, 2, transformation, 3, sneak peek inside, 4, FAQ, 4, last call. What should be my Facebook Lives be about when and during open cart? Okay, so my Facebook Lives are around announcing that it's there. And to be honest, I don't always do all of these things. I chop and change, do what I go with the flow. To be honest, by the time my cart's open, most of my job's done. That's how I feel about my own launches. But some of the things I would highly recommend is jumping on when there's a deadline, letting people know. Objections busting. So you could do an objections busting Facebook Live when you're talking about all of the big questions. Now, here's the thing. These do not have to be live. These could be pre-recorded. They can just be based off the frequently asked questions. Sharing stories. So I know one thing that people love doing. It's not something actually I've ever done with my launches, because I do like pre-recorded video testimonials with my audience. But doing a live cast. So do you remember Stu's live cast where he brought loads of people on? So fun. So that would be amazing. I do like a final Q&A. So if you're on the fence, this is why. And actually, one of the things I always like to do is calling people out on their BS live stream. And it's usually around price, because people are like, I just can't afford it. And so I will call them out from a place of love always. But I think that's definitely the hardest live stream to do. But often it's the one that people most need to hear. So if you work in an industry where people are afraid to invest, maybe because they've already had failures. And within my industry, it's rife, because there's a lot of people out there telling you how to make money online, but not a lot of people teaching how to do it in the right way. And so there's a lot of people who spend tens of thousands on courses and have nothing to show for it. And so sometimes by the time they get to me, they're like, I'm spent. I can't spend anymore. And so a lot of what I have to do is calling them out from a place of love about them not completing courses and focusing on the wrong things and chasing the money. And it always comes from a place of love. And I make sure I say that. I'm saying this because I want you to win. It comes from a place of love and you need to hear this. And I say that because I then need to step into Laura's going to tell you how it is kind of coach. And that is, I always find that hard. But often it's the one where people immediately send me a message and they're like, I know you're right. I'm going to do it. So another strategy that I use, I mean, I don't know the price of your membership and whether you can actually do this. 70 new members, maybe not. I do, and this, I guess this is more for people who've got higher ticket memberships or courses where you've got the time to do that. I do a live stream talking about, if you're on the fence, let's talk about that. And it's basically just saying, look, if you want to talk about whether this is the right fit for you, book in my calendar. There's a 15-minute slot below. So I do a live stream about that. So my goal on my live stream is basically just to echo everything that I'm doing during a cart open sequence with those added things of objections busting, like just doing the whole shebang, and those right fit calls and of course, sharing those stories. But if you can do that, like calling people out on their BS and get brave about it, powerful. So Laurie Cromie, she dropped me a message on her launch before last. And she was like, I'm really struggling on this one. What can I do? And I was like, right, we're going to do the calling them out on their BS. Because Laurie, you know, she's a connector. She's amazing. She's also a tri-party host. She's incredible, but she's also such a beautiful, gentle soul serving a market who need a bit of a kick up the bottom, as we would say in England, that, you know, they've had bariatric surgery and now they've put on weight again. And so she's very, very sensitive around that subject, which is a very tough subject. And I said, I think you need to call them out about their BS, about how they cannot continue as they're going because, you know, obesity will kill them if they don't fix this thing. And she was like, oh, how do I say it? I was like, say it with love. Call them out with love. And she did it, and she doubled her launch from that one little strategy. And so those things do matter. So calling people out with love, always. Saying what they need to hear, people on the fence, always going through your head, like, what are some of the things that are stopping them from moving forward? Some of them need success stories. Some of them need to hear all of your details. Who's a details person? I'm a spontaneous buyer. I buy straight away. But you've got different people who need to hear different things. So you're going to feel like, oh God, I've got to do another live stream. But not everyone is going to be watching all of those things. So just know that spreading them out over the course of that time, pre-recording, if you're like, I don't want to create all this stuff, but echoing all the materials you're sending now and just repeating things. We are creatures of habit, and we need to hear things over and over again for them to really sink into here. Loads of introverts. I can see you all popping up on there. Awesome. So Rena, that's how I'd schedule your lives. Best of luck with your launch, my darling. Love to see this 300 next time. Keep on doing the work. So maybe you would consider, if you're finding the small numbers are going up, maybe you need to do some extra list building in between your launches next time just to get those numbers really high. Also, JVs and affiliates. It's a great way to do it, right? Ice drink. Guys, I don't think you believe me when I tell you this. That's an ice block underneath my toes. It's that warm in England. We're dying. Actually, you know, the problem has been 4 police dogs. Not fun. Christy, launch question. I'm doing my next launch in September, starting a long runway now. This will be the last time I offer the membership at this current price. How soon do I start talking about that? And how do I start talking about the current price? What is the best method for when you are increasing the price of your membership? Stu McLaren talks about this somewhere. I can't seem to find it. Okay, so whenever I'm approaching like a launch and I know I'm putting the price up, what I do is a flash sale to the people who are on my wait list, because putting the price up on my next launch and not letting people know that the price is changing always feels out of integrity to me. So it's like, look, the next time I launch this, the price is going up. You've got an opportunity to join now. If you miss this, the next time you come through, you're on my wait list, the price is going to be going up. Now, if you've already told people on the last launch that the price is going up next time, you don't need to say anything. You've already done that. So that's what I would do. For me, it's all about integrity, honesty, transparency, but also being very, very fair around that price increase. Also, if you can get some extra people into your membership in between those launches, then that's amazing. So if you've got a wait list, that's what I would do there with that. I don't know what Stu suggested on that, but if someone knows where that piece of content is, that would be an awesome help for Christy. So Diana says, had that weather in Chicago last week. Woo. It's warm. It's not going to be this warm tomorrow, which is a good job to go to the spa. Jessica, it's a long one. Okay, let me read this through. So Jessica says, I'm launching a course soon. Something I've never done before. It's a hybrid group and one-on-one coaching program where I'm offering a ton of value. I want to make it beta and get 10 to 15 women. Beta for you guys across the pond. Here's my plan so far. I would really appreciate hearing different thoughts about how I could roll this out. Please let me know if you think there is another better approach to roll out. I've not launched anything in a while. Okay, that's cool. We can do that. So you want video, written testimonials, and a feedback call afterwards. So you'll make that clear to people as well. Yes. So whenever I'm doing a beta, there are conditions. My conditions are, if you want the discount, you have to agree to give me weekly feedback. There's a survey, a glowing testimonial at the end of the course. You could say video, and use of your photo in all my marketing. And so they're the things I state. Now I go one step further. If I'm doing a beta, I say, I'm also going to give you access to the final finished product when it's done. And so by actually saying that things are going to be a beta launch to begin with, you're being transparent about what people can expect. It's maybe going to be messy. If I notice something that comes up in the survey in week 2 and you guys need some extra help, we may push things back to accommodate your needs on that week. And so I think for me, just setting that expectation that things are going to be a little bit messy, maybe, it doesn't have to be messy, but just knowing that things are likely to change throughout, I think is great. So you're planning on just letting your Facebook group know this is happening. You've already teased it by putting a poll out there, and you're thinking you reveal it on a live. So what I would probably recommend as well, Jessica, is instead of just like allowing people to sign up, have an application process, depending on the size of your group, because if you want to get the right people in, because let's face it, a beta is all about getting the perfect people in, serving them, and creating really solid foundation for the next launch. And it's better for you to have a smaller group of the perfect people than to have a bigger group and have all kinds of different people, all kinds of different stages. Because then the next time you launch, you're a step further and just a whole range bigger. So if we can start off with like the perfect people to begin with, then the next time you launch, you're going to have probably even more of the perfect people and just continue forward with that. So if you're feeling like you're maybe not going to have all the numbers, doesn't matter. Like I'd rather have those perfect people. But for that reason, I definitely recommend an application process. That way, you actually don't have to do too much in the Facebook group. It can be, look, I'm working on something really amazing right now. I've been teasing about it for the past few weeks. And this is a very, very limited opportunity for you to become a beta tester of my program. If you would like to apply for this, here is where you can fill out the application and let me know about your situation. And you can then ask them for all the details about where they're at. Now, here's what I would love for you to do. You don't even need to do a launch for this. If you've got a big enough group or if you've got an email list, you're creating the velvet rope effect with this application process. And people are like, ooh, got to apply. You don't need to talk about price. You don't need to talk about anything. Just get people to apply. Then you can either go down the path of doing a webinar or my favorite thing, phone. So one of my first launches was because I found myself with a 20K revenue hole in my business because a project got cancelled last minute that was supposed to pay me for a few months whilst I created my course. Project got cancelled, had to launch quick. And so I sent out a survey to my list, got on the phone to people who I thought would be a good fit for it to talk to them about their challenges. And I was basically trying to get some data for my webinar. And on the first call, I spoke to this lady and we were talking about her challenges. And, I answered some of her questions and dropped some value bombs. We built some rapport. And I don't know where from, but I had this moment of bravery. And I said, look, you sound like you'd be a really great fit for something I'm thinking of launching. Can I tell you a bit about it and you can let me know what you think? And she says, yeah, sure. So I told her about this course. And I don't know where this moment of bravery came from. And I said, look, I would love to have you on board. This is what I'd love to do for you. Because this is the first time I've done this. It won't be pre-recorded. I'm going to create it as we go. But it's more like working with me on a one-to-one basis because you're going to get more attention than when the course is created. I'm going to give you a 50% discount. And in exchange for that, all I ask is that you give me a glowing testimonial at the end and you give me weekly feedback. And also, I'm going to give you access to that final product. How do you feel about that? And she went, yeah, sounds great. I was like, oh, I just made £1,000 sale. It was like $1,000, £750. I was absolutely like just blown away that I had this idea in my head. I was going to spend all this time creating this course in advance and the webinar. And it blew my mind that she just bought. So I got on the phone to the next lady and did the same thing. And she said, yes. And I was like, oh, 2 people. I was all in tears. And so I got on the phone to 12 people. And of the 12 of them, 10 said yes. And I was like, I was mind blown. It was my first 5-figure launch that wasn't anything to do with affiliate marketing. It was $14,000 in sales. Some people chose the payment plan. And that was it. That was the start of my kind of coaching and course career and that amazing new part of my business. I never went back to websites again after that. It was amazing. And so whenever I get the opportunity, I do not even launch. I don't want to launch if I don't. And that sounds crazy because I love launches, but I would love for you to do that strategy. And that was a 90% conversion rate. Can we just like wrap our heads around that fact? 90%, 10 people of 12. Why? Because they'd already told me specifically what their challenge was, and I had picked out the people I wanted to talk to. I already had a relationship with them, but you've got people in your Facebook group that you've got a relationship with. So I'd highly encourage you, just make this as simple as possible. And that strategy is super powerful. So I highly recommend that one. So I don't think you need to necessarily do like a 3-day live stream event for anything. I think if you've got a warm audience and if you've got a great offer, that you can simply have an application process and then phone or Zoom. And it's as simple as talking through their challenges, asking them some clarifying questions, asking them how does that show up in your business, or how does that show up in your life? And tell me more about that. If they're the right fit for what you're doing, what you'll find is most people will talk them into the fact that they know they need help. And so for that reason, it's not hard to sell, because all you're doing is saying, look, I can help you. So my darling, I probably would not even launch this. I would cut as many corners as I can. I would get on the phone. This might bring up some like, oh, I've got to talk. These are not sales calls. It's just you finding out if they're a right fit for the thing you're launching. And the thing is, if they've already gone through the application process, if they've agreed to jump on a call and talk about it some more, and if they've got the money to invest, of course, it's going to be a really easy win for you. So I don't even think you need to launch. See if you can fill your spots that way. Create that velvet rope effect, that exclusivity by having the application process. And yeah, best of luck. Please use that strategy. It's awesome. Okay. Jessica, I read your post this morning. And first, I want to acknowledge you for how difficult a post that was to share in the group. Clearly, you jumped onto that group leader call and had an amazing conversation. And, you know, it is so hard, I know, to speak up. I remember a time in my business when I was scared to ask questions. And let me tell you, things really changed for me personally when I started to ask questions, and questions that were in groups where people were way ahead of me, way ahead of me. And it really opened up so many doors. And I really admire you for how you put that post down. So I know that you're having a few challenges with lead generation right now. So I wanted to talk about that. Number one, please implement the power hour. Like spending that 1 hour a week building relationships is going to be absolutely crucial. Number two, I know you said that you struggle with focus. I used to. And there was a problem that I realized I had, was that I was always multitasking. I was going from task to task to task to task to task. And it was around the time I actually started working with Todd Herman. And this is the very, very start of my business. And he called it context switching. So I don't know whether he's got anything about that, but if you Google it, maybe he'll bring some stuff up. And basically developers, web developers in particular, struggle with this, because what happens is they'll write a bit of code and they'll upload it. They'll write a bit of code and upload it. And what happens is it takes up more energy in the action between this and uploading than it does to actually batch create it and then upload it. And so our brains are not designed to go from task to task to task. And so I was doing this. So the number one thing that Todd taught me around how I was working was that my mind, I'm a creative, I can't help it, was I would start task 1, I'd go to task 3, back to task 1, task 2. And my mind was all over the place. I had to create incredible discipline around getting that one thing done. And I know that your question, actually your first question, was around, if I had 1 hour a day to focus, what would I do? So it sounds to me, maybe your battery runs out quite quickly. Mine definitely did. It's the creative part side of us. So how about first trying some strategies to stay focused on one thing? The second thing I noticed is that you're on a lot of different platforms doing a lot of different things. So what would be really amazing is if you could have a look in your analytics, Google Analytics, and find out exactly where your website traffic is coming from, and then find out exactly how people are joining your email list. Because when you're splitting your focus across different platforms, Facebook group, Pinterest, Instagram, all the things, and you're not really growing your email list in between launches, usually it's because you've got a split focus. And when you don't have the time and you don't have the team, you kind of get stuck in this small launch, and it takes a really long time to actually build that. Actually, what happens is most people give up, but we don't want that. But I think if we can get you to a place where you're focusing on the important things. Number one, relationships. But number two, like creating that focus where you're all in on one platform and letting go of the rest. That would be powerful. So I noticed actually you had like 12,000 views on your Pinterest a month, which is amazing. But I want to know what of those views is translating to website traffic, because your problem is not your offer. Your problem is not retention. Your problem is lead generation. So building your email list in between your launches is absolutely crucial. So can we find out those things? One, where the traffic to your website is coming from. And I just double down on what's working. So number two, when I was on your website, I wanted some goodies. And I realized you had this thing called the subscriber hub. And I was like, oh, I'm not a subscriber. And so instantly, I was unclear on how to get onto your email list. So what I would love to see is a really simplified freebie. Now, it could be something around maybe a cheat sheet or a checklist, or just something small. Because right now, what you're saying to people is if that is the free thing, I wasn't sure whether it was the free thing, it's too big and it's too complicated and you're asking too much from people. So if we can simplify that, and if we can figure out where is your traffic actually coming from, double down on that thing that's working, focus on building relationships, which is also going to bring traffic to your website, focus on one freebie that is building your list. All those things together is going to make such a difference to the size of your email list, and then you'll get the growth. Then you'll get the revenue that allows you to then put it into other things and focus on the big rocks. So I know what it's like to be in this situation. It is really hard, but we do have to figure out, like, where is your effort best spent when it's and numbers don't lie. We'll have a look at your numbers and we'll figure out where your traffic is coming from. But that simplification, I think for you, it will be absolutely game changing. So let's have a look. Let's figure out that report. So hot. So Jess, I just wanted to send you some love. And, to acknowledge how brave it was to share that help, asking for help. So it's the game-changing piece. So I would love to help you dive into your analytics. So maybe you can pull off a report and share it into the Connect group and we can have a look at that. Okay, so final cue. I think it's actually one in the comments. And guys, if you have any more questions in the comments I've missed, can you repost it for me so I can see it? I've seen one from Lisa. So Lisa says, when thinking of conversion rates, say a conversion rate of 2%. If that percentage is off your launch list and not your email list, how can you build that launch list during a launch to give you large enough conversions? Completely two separate things. So your conversion rate on your launch is always based off your launch list. So this is why when we're doing a launch, we want people on that separate list. Because here's the thing. Numbers I'm seeing, 20 to 30% of people joining a launch off a main list, which is not a huge number. You think, oh, I've just built this list of like 1,000 people. You're telling me only 200, 300 people are going to join? If you're lucky, if you've got an engaged list. Because deliverability sucks, first and foremost. But also, like, you want people to be at the right time. And sometimes if they've been on your list for a while, they're not. Or maybe they're already a buyer. Or maybe they've just forgotten to unsubscribe and now you're in the spam folder. We don't know what's going on with that. So 20 to 30% of people moving from your main list onto your launch list is about average. It's good. That's actually a good number. So your launch list, your job is actually to build your master list in between your launches. And so one of the things you can do if you really want to boost the size of that is have what's called a front end offer. And so it might be something really low ticket that you can then use to generate profit to cover your ad spend. So you're always building your list for free in between your launches. So then when you do start to launch, you're bringing more and more people into your launch, and that's how you get the bigger numbers. But a 2% conversion rate on a launch isn't great. It's industry standard, but I think that when you're creating a high touch experience where you build those relationships, you really want to be aiming for about 5% conversion rate. So 1 to 2% is industry standard, but I don't think it's very good. 5 to 7% is good. Anything over that is killer. So 10% is like wild. So you're saying 200 buyers would then require a launch list of 10,000. Well, yeah, if that is a 2% conversion, but what about a 5% conversion? Well, a 5% conversion, and now you're asking me to sort something out if you wanted 200 buyers, would be, I can't even work out this maths, 5 divided by 0.05. This is ridiculous. So 4,000 people. So a 5% conversion rate is a 4,000 person list, which is not out the realms of possibility, is it? If we're focusing on building our master list in between launches and then moving that into a launch. And the thing is, if you're using paid ads as well, and it's maybe costing you $1, it's going to cost you maybe $2,000 to build that launch list every time. So this is how we've got to start thinking about goals. 2 goals you've got to think about when you think about launches. Number 1 is how many people you're bringing into your list. I always set a good, better, best. Good for the number of emails. And that is the key. How many people have actually raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in this launch. I want to take part in it. And then your conversion rate also has a good, better, and best. So I recommend setting your good at 1 to 2%, better at maybe 5 to 6%, and best at like 8%. And so then if you calculate that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my launch calculator, the difference between those things. If it's say like a £500 product, the difference between a 100 person list and a 500 person list and a 2% conversion rate and a 8% conversion rate is crazy. It's like in the low 4 figures to like almost 6 figures. It's wild. And so for me, like just managing my own expectations on what is realistic and what I can achieve with the list I've got right now is when that's where I keep saying, if you're not setting those numbers, launch list goals and conversion rate goals, you are essentially plucking out a number out of the air. And this is where people get caught out with setting the launch goals. It's like, such and such had like a 7% conversion rate, so I want that, and I'm going to generate £50,000. And it's unrealistic because maybe you haven't built that list, or maybe you haven't refined your offer, so you haven't tested it yet, or maybe you haven't worked on your messaging. So at least if you can set those 2 goals, launch list and conversion rate goals, you're going to see there's a big range, and I'm going to share with you my spreadsheet to teach you how to do that. But I think then you're seeing exactly how many people you need to bring into your launch to hit those goals. So that makes sense, my lovely. So that's how you calculate them. Okay, final cue from Joanna, and then I'm going to go, guys, because seriously, melting. Have you ever done a challenge leading into your membership? Yes, I have. I'm thinking a super simple 5-day challenge could be a great way to launch my membership, but giving the people a taste of what it's like to work with me or be in my community, but I don't see many models of how to do this. Would love your take and advice. So that's the difference to me. That you said, I'm going to use a challenge launch to sell my membership. Is your membership around challenges? Because what I would say around that is there's maybe not the kind of congruency that you would expect. So actually what I prefer to do is a classroom launch where I just teach, because that is congruency between the launch and the offer. So the way I always explain launches, it comes down to 3 simple things. Number 1, bringing people together and in a group, that's it. Number 2, teaching them some cool stuff. And number 3, selling them the next step. 3 simple things. So for me, just teaching rather than getting people to do a challenge is around them seeing exactly what I'm like and why they need to buy into me as a coach. I have a coaching membership. So that's the 2 things I would consider. Is like, number 1, does it make sense? Number 2, is there congruency? So if you're saying, yeah, okay, I'm like a fitness person, and they're going to have like things that they need to do on a regular basis. Well, yes, there is absolute congruency between a challenge and the membership. If you're selling a transformation and maybe it's not around a challenge and maybe it's more like teaching and coaching, then I think a classroom launch would be far more powerful. So the difference between the 2, the challenge, usually 5 days, sometimes 7, I've seen them bigger than that, but you're giving people things to do every single day. You're helping them create a habit of consistency, transformation, and getting them to take action every day. A classroom launch is where you're simply going to show up and you're going to teach. So I teach 3 big workshops. My workshops actually, this isn't intentional. It's just kind of the way it goes because I go on for a long time. I do 3 workshops over the period of a week. And they can be like 2 hours long, one of those, because I love to talk about launches. It's a big old subject. And so people go, isn't that giving away too much? No, because I'm only giving away the bigger idea. I'm not giving them the how to do the launch. I'm not giving them the swipes, the resources, the launch plan, the content, all the little tacky, tactical and technical pieces. I'm teaching them why launches work and how do you know which launch is right for you. It's the why that I'm teaching. And so you can go really deep on those things. And especially if you're a coach or if you're a consultant, are you able to deliver that same kind of transformation with a 5-day challenge? No. And honestly, I have to tell you, I think challenges can sometimes be a bit boring and a bit overdone. I'm getting on my soapbox now. I will try not to, but I'm sick of seeing the same 5-day challenges everywhere. 5-day dream client challenge. What? No. Can we stop this? Can we please be more creative? What do your people actually really want? So I would consider that one. Is there a better way for you to do this? And for me, like actually just showing up, being you, being the person who's teaching and coaching and creating that mini experience of your membership over the course of a week. It's so simple. It's if you enjoyed this time together, I'd love to tell you about how we can continue the journey. It's a great bridge. No problem, guys. I can see your comments about that. What I'll do is I will post that into the group afterwards and you can make a copy and you can use it as much as you want. It's super important to kind of manage your expectations around launch goals. So guys, I'm cooked. I'm done. Very, very warm. Hopefully I don't look too bad right now. I'm burning up. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my son out for dinner and we're going to sit in the car in the air conditioning for a good half an hour and enjoy it. So final thoughts. If you're going to do a challenge, make it flipping interesting. Try and not do the same old kind of boring 5-day challenge. It's all about how you position the experience of a launch. It's going to pull people in, especially if you're trying to sell a transformational membership or product off the back of it. Like, does it make sense to even have that challenge in the first place? Right, my gorgeous, gorgeous people. That is it for today. Thank you so much for joining this call. I will see you in Toronto in just a few short weeks from now. I cannot wait. It's going to be incredible. So I'll see you there. Come and find me. Say hello. I used to be the girl at the events who'd be like this. I'm busy. Don't talk to me. No longer. Come and find me and we'll have a hug. We will have a hug. If you're an introvert and if you're that person, so busy on my phone, I encourage you to, before you come to the event, affirmations every single day. I love events. I love being an event extrovert. You can be a fake extrovert. I love meeting new people. I love making new friends. I love events. And those affirmations every single day. Before you come to the event, by the time you get here, you're going to feel so much better about it. And I totally understand that. I'm going to go and find some AC. Absolutely. It's in my car. Guys, thank you so much for joining me live. I will see you in Toronto. Cannot wait to be there. Loads of love. Bye for now.